Hello footy tippers, Russ Barwick alongside Mark McVeigh for AFL Round 7 as we get stuck into it. And you thought the games last week were fantastic. What about Friday night football this time around? MCG, Collingwood. I just love it.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? And big crowd. Carlton are on the march, haven't they? They've won their last two after being heavily criticised. And Collingwood, obviously, after that big Anzac Day win. Great game to watch. I think Collingwood will be too strong, though.
Seem to have too much firepower, and even when Cloak's not firing, as he hasn't been overly impressive, they can still score plenty of goals. They shouldn't have won that game last week, but they did.
Exactly, and they get those goals from their midfielders, Dane Swan, Pendlebury, Beams, these type of players. So when, as you said, when their forwards aren't playing well, they have great goal-kicking midfielders. They have for a long time, and they step up. Okay,
on Saturday, the opening game sees the Hawks play St Kilda. Saints were, well, they let one slip away, and Hawks have just been pretty impressive over the last couple of weeks.
Well, Saints' record's been pretty good lately. They obviously beat the Bombers a week before, but they went over to Wellington and should have won the game. Yeah. They missed 3 kicks in the last few minutes, should have sealed it, but the Hawks will be too strong.
Okay. GWS take a game to Canberra against the top-of-the-table Port Adelaide. Yes. Top of the table, Port Adelaide.
I know, amazing, isn't it? I think me and you both tipped Port last week to beat Geelong, which was fantastic. They're playing the right style of football that everyone likes.
They're good to watch.
Oh, they're amazing, and I think their team is together at the moment. They're really playing strong footy. They'll beat GWS.
Some of the things I watched last week against Geelong, the fact that when a goal was on offer, there were still players ready to run, ready to make position. Boak did it a couple of times.
Yeah, they're an impressive side. Ken Hinkley's done an amazing job. Obviously spent a lot of time at Geelong as well, and everyone's starting to follow suit what Port Adelaide are doing.
Okay, the Adelaide Crows take on Melbourne at home against a team that just doesn't seem to have any guns blazing at all at the moment.
No, they don't. Melbourne against the Swans was one of the worst games to watch last week. Low scoring game. And Adelaide haven't had great form this year and been heavily criticised, especially by their South Australian supporters. But look, I think they'll be too strong for Melbourne. Melbourne's struggling. Paul Roos doing his absolute best, but Adelaide too good.
Yeah, Taylor Walker might be back for the Crows in the not too distant future. And speaking of players coming back, and former Adelaide player Kirk Tippett, he'll debut for the Swans first time this year against Brisbane.
Yeah, and desperately need him, don't they? Buddy Franklin obviously got injured in the game on the weekend. They reckon he'll be right to play. He'll certainly come into the side. Brisbane had that win that you didn't think they'd get against St Kilda, but with Tippett, Buddy hopefully, and Adam Goodes making a strong return, you have to think they'll beat them.
Can the Bombers bounce back after last week's loss against the Western Bullies?
Well, I think it is a game where they can utilise being the better side. The Western Bulldogs have had some good wins, but they've also been disappointing. Yes, and you'd have to think their list is a lot further down the track than what the Western Bulldogs are, and they can use this game hopefully to get back on track. Okay,
North, who would have predicted their win last week? They take on the Suns, who've been solid, but if North are going to be a top team, they need to put a couple together.
Well, amazing by North, isn't it? They were heavily criticised in round one by getting flogged.
That's the key. Criticise someone, they bounce back.
Yeah, I know, and they really got destroyed in round one, but certainly on the weekend was an amazing win to win in Perth, and I think they'll beat the Suns.
Well, they beat Port, they beat Freo, so they've got a couple of big scalps. Geelong should absolutely belt the Tigers.
Oh yeah, the Tigers been criticised by every big name in the AFL about not having any creativity when they've got the football. I know Damien Harwick's come out this week and said, look, we're going to try and move the ball as quick as we possibly can. They're playing against a side that probably won the premierships out of moving the ball quickly and fast, but Geelong will be too strong.
Problem with the Tigers, when they move it, they put it into the third row of the grandstand. And the Derby, another Western Derby, Freo on the West Coast at Subi.
Yeah, big game, isn't it? And Simpson, the coach of the West Coast Eagles, has said he's had some concerns lately of his side and where they're going and what they're doing, and he's had to change a few things. But Freo, they'll be shattered after that loss at home. They don't lose very often at Patterson Stadium. Big game. You never know what this game's going to throw up, do you? Because both sides are so red hot when it comes to the derby. But I think Freo will be too strong.
Okay, let's have a look at Mark's tips on screen. He likes Collingwood in the opening game on Friday night. Hawthorn, obviously. Port Adelaide to beat GWS. Then the Crows, Sydney and Essendon to wrap up Saturday. And on Sunday, all the teams, North, Geelong and Freo, the favourites to win in round 7.